Game week 13 will see me activate an FPL chip, but the big question is, should it be a free hit or a triple captain? We're going to discuss that in today's Game week 13 transfer plans video alongside all of the other hot topics. So as always, if you look forward to today's video, make sure you drop a like and of course hit that subscribe button. Enough waffling, let's get to today's video. So first up, a quick review on how Game Week 12 is going so far, because of course, we still have Monday Night Football with Man United up against Everton. And for me personally, I'm hoping that Bruno Fernandes will finally outscore Brian Mbeumo, because if Mbeumo scores, then this really is going to hurt my overall rank. So I am hoping on Bruno Fernandes. But so far, it's been a decent game week. 47 points, of course, with a little bit of bench jam. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it's currently got me at an overall rank of 232,000 in the world. Again, Bruno Fernandes versus Mbeumo will decide basically whether that is going to continue to be a green arrow or it might actually be a bit worse off. We will see, obviously, after Monday night. But in terms of the actual performances of the team, David Raya with a 2-pointer, obviously Spurs getting their consolation goal, but any other time really Arsenal walk away 4-0 winners in that game. Still happy with Raya between the sticks, but a little bit annoying that they did concede basically the one chance, and it wasn't even a chance really that Richarlison had. In terms of the back three, my transfer that I made was Gabriel to Virgil van Dijk. What was I thinking? I made the assumption that Liverpool were going to turn a corner under Arne Slot and we were going to see a bit of an improvement from them. I think maybe it is actually a case of they are just gone this season. I don't really see how they are going to repair this from a defensive perspective. In particular, the answer Joe Gomez for Konate just doesn't make sense to me. So I think Van Dijk is going to be in my team for now. But of course, with 5 free transfers in the African Cup of Nations, maybe that will be the time to get rid of Van Dijk if Liverpool's performances continue to be this worrying. So a little bit of a concern, but of course defensive contributions for Van Dijk, getting him to a 3-pointer kind of hides and papers over the cracks a little bit. Richards with the 6-pointer. Wolves are just terrible. It is mission target Wolves right now, and I think that will continue. And Senesi with the 3-pointer, of course, getting that assist. In terms of the midfielders, Enzo being the star of the show. Loads of managers selling him away against Burnley had me think that there was a little bit of rumours going around that maybe he was going to get benched, because I did not understand why people were selling Enzo. Of course, got a bit lucky with the late goal on the break against Burnley. Of course, that is the case, but Enzo's numbers have been fantastic for the previous weeks, and that 11-pointer feels a little bit overdue, if I'm going to be honest with you. But of course, with Enzo's fixtures now turning a little bit, maybe it is an opportunity to take him out of the team eventually. But what a points with 11. Sarr with 3 points, continuing to frustrate. Had another great opportunity that he missed. Is it enough to sell him right now? No, but we do need to monitor that. He is one of those that needs to be sold eventually. The big one's going to be Semenyo. We had the news that he was obviously available. Then it looks like he picked up a fever, which was the reason why he missed out on Game Week 13. The good news for me is the auto sub is going to be Anderson with a 10-pointer. I'm delighted with that, of course. And a little bit of bench jam never hurt anybody. What I am going to say is the forward line. Mateta 1-pointer is what it is. Pretty much everyone's owning Mateta right now. He is very frustrating. It's going to be Thiago. Now, penalties, of course, have their own luck. Scoring a penalty is great. What I didn't realise while I was in the cinema was that Thiago missed a second penalty. So that basically went from a 13-point haul down to a 4-pointer. And don't get me started on Erling Haaland, because there was a discussion between Haaland versus Saka. Saka, I felt, was the best captaincy this week. Those that went against Erling Haaland captaincy, you have dodged a bullet. 1.54 expected goal involvement for Erling Haaland is ridiculous away from home against Newcastle. Any other day, he bags a brace or at least a goal. So those that went against Haaland, I know Saka has some nice long-range efforts that got parried away, but you dodged a bullet in this game week. So 47 points, still Bruno to play. Let me know how you got on in the comment section. Let's take a look at Game Week 13 and why there is going to be a chip played in my team. So if we take a look at how my team is looking ahead of Game Week 13 without any transfers made, I've got 1.9 million in the bank and 2 free transfers. So decent amount of flexibility with the team. Now, in terms of game week 13 in isolation, rare away against Chelsea is not ideal, but do I just back Arsenal to have the chance of keeping a clean sheet in any fixture? Yes, but I would say I think Chelsea are going to pose one of the tougher tests for Arsenal that we have seen in the opening 12 game week. So I'm not sitting here thinking that is a guaranteed banker clean sheet for Arsenal. I think Chelsea do have the tools to hurt them, and I do think Chelsea are one of the few teams that have the midfield to compete with that three of Zubimendi, Rice, and of course Eze. That is going to be a big game next week. In terms of the back three, Senesi away against Sunderland, I'm not as convinced. Bournemouth defensively are not looking as good as what we thought. Van Dijk away against West Ham, who knows what that is going to be. And then Richards at home against Man United. That feels like the big fixture in game week 13 because, of course, with my team, I've got triple Palace against Man United and I've got Bruno away against that Palace. So it very much is a case of if it's a high scoring game, then happy days. We probably are getting a lot of points in game week 13. But also, if that becomes a bit of a turgid affair, both formations cancel out one another and it's a 1-0 or a 0-0, then probably I'm not reaping any rewards in that fixture. Semenyo still flagged going into the away game against Sunderland, and even if they do play it, I don't think it's a fantastic fixture against Sunderland. They've proved that they can compete against anybody when they are at home. We spoke about Bruno. Enzo away at home against Arsenal, not really fantastic. And then the front three of Thiago at home against Burnley, really good. I think he'll be very popular, even for those that are on a free hit, of course. Mateta at home against Man United, that is not really terrible, I don't think. And then, of course, Erling Haaland at home against Leeds. If you don't own him for this game week, then you obviously need to hide behind a sofa a little bit. And the bench kind of picks itself, really. You can make an argument and Dye could squeeze himself into this team ahead of Enzo. But all in all, it's fine. But we need to understand that game week 13 is a bit of a meh game week all in all. But there are some brilliant differential teams in this particular game week. So what I want to show you now is the upcoming fixtures and a debate between when we can play our free hit and our triple captain, because that is the deliberation that I have right now. Can I play a free hit on this team, change it all up, take on the Arsenal fixture, take on the Crystal Palace fixture and roll the dice a little bit? Or just play safe, put the triple captaincy on Erling Haaland for that Leeds game, and then give myself some more flexibility in future weeks. So if we take a look at the fixtures between now and game week 19, the reason for game week 19 is because that is the final game week that you can use your FPL chips, and we got a few things between that. The red lines indicate midweek fixtures, so we've got Champions League before game week 13, we've got Champions League between 15 and 16, and I believe 16 and 17 is the EFL Cup, so that involves the likes of Arsenal, for example. Game week 14 is a midweek game week that we need to remember. Game week 16 is when we get given our 5 African Cup of Nations top up. So you get 5 maximum. You can't have 8 transfers. So you have 3, they'll give you an extra 2. And as I mentioned, game week 19 is the chip deadline and also a midweek game week as well. So from my perspective, what I'm looking at right now is if I am looking to play my free hit or triple captain, what game weeks realistically will I play them? So firstly, let's take a look at the triple captain. Game week 13 is an obvious week. Erling Haaland, as long as he passes fit in their Champions League games midweek, then of course he is going to be an incredible triple captaincy option against a Leeds team that haven't really showed much away from home defensively and even conceded 2 goals against Aston Villa at home. So Haaland's the only one that I really trust him with the triple captain. Even though he blanked in game week 12, his numbers were still a joke. If I don't triple captain in game week 13, then game week 15 becomes an option against Sunderland, but of course that is just before a Champions League game. But with City slipping up in game week 12, I don't see them benching Haaland or taking any risks on him. I think they're just going to play him regardless. Otherwise, game week 17 becomes an option at home against West Ham. Otherwise, I don't like any of the other options. And of course, if you don't use it this game week, then you are hoping that he's still fit and available for those 2 fixtures. Right now, you know he's fit, you know he's absolutely killing it. Game week 13 makes a lot of sense. So if it's Haaland, where else do we go? Well, I don't think Mo Salah is an option. I just don't see it. And of course, he is going to the African Cup of Nations. We're anticipating him to leave around game week 16 or game week 17. So then it becomes somebody like a Bruno Fernandes or something, or a Bukayo Saka. If it's Saka, you could go there in game week 16 against Wolves, possibly. Or you could even do it in maybe game week 15 or 14. Don't love it. And for Bruno Fernandes, somebody like that, for Man United, you could go in game week 14, but it's midweek, or you hold it off and go until game week 19. And even then, you could ask yourself, could I maybe get a Liverpool player and do it against Leeds? What I'm trying to say is, now is the best time to triple captain Haaland, but I do think there are other opportunities to go there. You just hope he's fit and available. In terms of the free hit, the reason why game week 13 is attractive is because Liverpool are away against West Ham, which previously we thought was good. We don't really know that now. City are against Leeds, and it's a great time to have the triple up because then they're midweek away against Fulham, and I don't love that fixture for high goals, but then from game week 15, you know you want to buy them. In terms of game week 13 as well, if you look at it, you can also target Aston Villa, who have a decent fixture at home against Wolves, a team that are very hard to invest in right now, but as a 1 week punt, you kind of want them. And also, I would say Brentford at home against Burnley. And I'm going to show you a free hit team, but 13 looks appealing. 14 is also almost impossible to do a free hit because it's a midweek game. Game week 15 is very difficult because that's the final game week you need to use your transfers before you get the top up. So you kind of have to use all your transfers here because once you get to 15, if you were to activate your free hit, of course, you can't use transfers. And then if you've got 3 transfers, then you free hit. You're only getting 2 extra in game week 16. So I don't love a game week 15 free hit. Game week 16 free hit is being talked about, but I don't really love the upside fixtures. Everybody's going to own Arsenal, so you're not really getting the Arsenal upside on your free hit. Yes, you get Brentford players for the Leeds game, but if you already own Thiago, then you kind of already benefit from that. Burnley against Fulham, meh. Chelsea against Everton, not really. So I don't love the upside in game week 16. And then 17, 18, 19 for me are just not incredibly appealing. So for that reason, I think a game week 13 free hit, just getting out of the way, is probably the best move for my personal team. And then holding off the triple captain for just that gut feeling in any particular game week that I feel using it. I just think game week 13 gets it done. And I'm going to show you a game week 13 free hit, which is really controversial and differential, but could be the difference between a big red arrow and a big green arrow, I'm going to be honest. So take a look at a game week 13 free hit team. And of course, with a free hit, you have to play it how you want to play it. Some managers will play a free hit, probably have 6 or 7 highly owned players and just sprinkle in a couple of real great differentials. Other managers, maybe like myself here, are going for the route of real big differentials in a game week where it could yield real big upside. The problem with that is, if it backfires massively. And really, it could be the difference between, like I said, a green arrow and a monstrous red arrow. Because when you look at this free hit team here, I'll just go through it. We'll highlight the fixtures. We'll talk about the pros, the cons here. So when I look at the fixtures right now, who are the players that are going to be really, really highly owned? Well, we're going to have people like, if we just run it down, Semenyo away against Sunderland is massively owned, but feels like a player you could possibly take on, especially if there are still doubts about him going into that game week. City, of course, is going to be Erling Haaland, but everybody would own them on a free hit. Newcastle, Everton, not really much. Voltemada, and I don't feel confident owning someone like Voltemada for that. Spurs, Fulham is just a dead rubber right now. Now, of course, Crystal Palace, Man United is going to have a lot of ownership. You're going to have loads of Palace defenders owned. You're going to have Mateta and Ismaila Sarr highly owned. And on the Man United side, you're going to have Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo. So you would be taking on that fixture most likely. Then in Aston Villa Wolves, nobody owns those players. Liverpool West Ham right now is hugely lowly owned. Forest Brighton, lowly owned. And then, of course, Chelsea Arsenal, which has the big ownership. A lot of people on Enzo, a lot of people on João Pedro. I think right now, if you're sat there thinking that Chelsea players are great for game week 13, I think you're probably a little bit delusional. I'm a Chelsea fan, by the way. I think we have a chance of getting a result against Arsenal. But do I want Chelsea players in game week 13? Not really. But of course, in order for this free hit to work, you kind of are banking on Arsenal playing a little bit poor and also Arsenal not keeping a clean sheet. Now, of course, you could just change this free hit up, put in an Arsenal defender and you could sleep easy at night. But it does feel like an opportunity to maybe go against it. And boy, are we going against it with this team. So really what I've done here is I've gone for the upside picks. So triple Man City just has to happen. We've gone for O'Reilly because I think he would start. But of course, we need to monitor the Champions League game. Then we've gone for Phil Foden. That could easily be Jeremy Doku if you wanted to free up some funds. But I think Foden is still look good. Missed some big chances against Newcastle, but I'm still seeing good things. and then of course Erling Haaland, we would be taking on those managers that are triple captaining him. Then we'll go for triple Aston Villa. It feels like the right time to do it. They found form, and they're against a Wolves team that are just not finding form at all. And nobody owns Aston Villa. So Digne is the high upside defender, Rodgers, and then Watkins. Watkins is the real big mare pick because he isn't doing it, but you just kind of pick him in the hope that he delivers. We then go for triple Brentford. Coyote is a bit of an all-action defender. I think he's decent. Sade and then Thiago. Again, though, could this fixture just stink up the place and it is like a 0-0? I think that could easily happen. Easily. And then the big one, the elephant in the room, is going to be, of course, Mo Salah away against West Ham. There is zero evidence to put Mo Salah on a free hit draft. Literally none. But because we have the funds to do it, it feels like a great opportunity to do so. I think it's real rogue, and I think you have to put Mo Salah in a game week 13, to be honest with you, to really chase the upside. But do I love it? Not really. I've gone for sells between the sticks, but that really could be anybody. If you've got the money to go David Raya, maybe you go David Raya just to have that Arsenal coverage if they were to keep a clean sheet, which is highly possible. But I think if you are free hitting in game week 13, you do have to go against the grain, and I think something like this does work. Of course, you are going against those big ownerships, but the green arrow would be monstrous if Salah were to score and Brentford were to beat Burnley alongside Aston Villa. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section, but I right now am leaning towards game week 13 free hit and just really chasing the upside. So just taking a quick look at some long-term plans in a minute. I appreciate I rambled on a lot in this video, but I just thought it would be good just to show you game week 13, game week 14, 15 before we get those African Cup of Nations transfers, of course. So if I do play my free hit in game week 13, it would look like this, of course. It is real rogue. I appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section if I lost my mind. Then going into game week 14, once again, remember it's a midweek fixture, so that's really important to note. And my team would look like this. If we look at the actual fixtures, what am I missing? Well, I'm not really fussed about going for a Man City player outside of Erling Haaland. Really, I think it is not having any attacking Arsenal for that Brentford fixture. But of course, off the back of a game on the weekend, once I get to game week 14, I think I'll be able to have a little bit of a thought about who actually is there to own in that team. But I do think if Eze just continues to look fantastic in that team, something that would be really easy for me. And yes, I know it isn't Bukayo Saka, and I do think Saka is the better player. But I could, if I feel I want to chase the bandwagon, is jump on someone like an Eze for game week 14. Remember, I'm trying to use all of my transfers by game week 16 because then we get our top up of the African Cup of Nations transfers. And I also need to get rid of those players that are going there. And I think Ndiaye is a perfect example of one of those where, to be honest, his fixtures are quite poor from game week 14 onwards. So why don't I just get rid of him then? So game week 14 would look like that. I think the team looks quite decent for this game week then. Then going into game week 15, once again, it's a tricky run of fixtures. Villa against Arsenal is not great, I don't think. And really, what are the standout games? Newcastle against Burnley, and Newcastle are coming into some good fixtures now. So I think target Newcastle would be the plan. Who, though, is the question. Spurs against Brentford, but again, there's no real confidence right now on Spurs. City really is where we want to go. And I do think it is the time then to maybe start to invest in them. And I hope by game week 15, there's a bit more clarity on what player we want to own for that team. And again, we need to understand which players I own that I really do need to sell ahead of the African Cup of Nations. So really, maybe an opportunity for me to bring in maybe a Man City defender if I wanted to, if there was a chance. Maybe shipping out someone like a Senesi, even though it isn't great. But what game week 15 needs to be is 2 free transfers. I got to use them because once we get to game week 16, if you look at the transfer section, that then jumps up to 5 free transfers. They're basically giving me 2 extra because, of course, in this situation, I've rolled one going into game week 16. So really what you've got to do in game week 15 is understand who are the players that I want to buy and just get it done. I know it's a bit savage. Take Enzo as an example. I think he could be brilliant for game week 16 against Everton, but also I want to use my transfers to capitalise on them giving me 5 free transfers. So maybe me being a bit harsh and getting rid of him in game week 15 and understanding, okay, who is the guy that I actually want to own in this team? Again, I don't know who that player is, but could it be a Doku? Could Doku still be a great guy in this Man City team? And bringing him in here, knowing that if I've done it wrong, then they're still going to give me 5 transfers in game week 16, maybe a short-term punt on Doku, and then resetting my team in game week 18 might be the play. But what I'm trying to say is have a plan in place, because the next 3 or 4 game weeks are going to be massive, and you've got to have some sort of structure on when you use your chips, and importantly, when you use your transfers. Yes, guys, okay, that's going to wrap up today's video. Looking at my game week 13 transfer plans, and as I said, triple captain, all free hit will get activated. I just want to wait until the Man United game just to gain a bit more information, and of course, ideally, the Champions League fixture as well, just to see what happens. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button. If you have any questions, please do pop them in the comment section. As always, I will get to them. Have an amazing day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.